City whose history is tightly woven to the birth of our nation, whose natives share a unique accent, whose chefs create diverse interpretations of New England clam chowder, and in a section of the nation where politics may divide, there remains a common bond, devotion to Red Sox Nation. It's been a good century already for the Red Sox, as they've won 3 titles since an 86-year blip. And this season, as Bostonians bid farewell to an adopted son, they have championship aspirations once again. A nice test for the resurgent Rockies as they return to the museum that is Fenway Park for the first time in a few years. Colorado, Boston, next. Welcome everybody to Boston, Massachusetts. We're in the Back Bay, the home of Fenway Park since April the 20th, 1912. It's interleague play, first interleague game of the season for the Rockies as they make their first visit to Fenway since 2013. And we are ready to go. In the shadow of the Green Monster. Charlie Blackmon will lead things off for the Rockies against one of the top pitchers in baseball, David Price. And the former Vanderbilt star's first pitch of the ball game is in over the outside corner, strike one at 92 miles an hour. Price is 6-1 this year, which kind of belies his ERA because it's at 5.53.
One of the top guys, though, in baseball in run support. I mean, 5.53 ERA, and that's even lower from what it's been because it was up into the 7s his last 2 outings, though, for David Price. He's only given up 3 earned runs. Fastball, changeup, cutter, curveball, all of that coming from David Price.
Price turns his back a little bit on the hitter, and that fastball's outside. And it's a ball and 2 strikes as you look at the arsenal. Not throwing quite as hard, Huey, as he did in the past.
Well, he's got a lot of innings and years underneath that jersey on the arm, but he'll still cut the fastball when he needs to, and then the big sweeping curveball to try to finish you off.
And this is bounced fair and an easy play for Hanley Ramirez. So Charlie is retired. Let's take a look at the rest of the Southwest batting order for Walt Weiss. And being in an American League park, obviously the first time the Rockies will be able to utilize the designated hitter. Trevor Story will bat second. That's his spot in the lineup. Nolan third. Mark Reynolds, good numbers against David Price. Cargo will bat fifth. Ryan Rayburn, 10 for 30 with a home run against Price. He'll be the DH. Gerardo Parra, 7. Dustin Garneau, a right-handed bat, behind the plate batting 8th, and then DJ LeMahieu. So here's Story, who not only has never played at Fenway, he's never been to the city of Boston before. Checking off a lot of firsts this year for Trevor.
He's pretty excited talking to him around the batting cage today, and rightfully so. I was that way when he come to Fenway Park for the first time. You walk into this stadium, you see the Green Monster out in left field. He was able to go in there and sign his name. I mean, that's kind of the rite of passage for every player. When you do that, you think, okay, kind of put my mark on this place.
And David Price in on the hands with that cutter, and it's 0-2. One of the game plans for the Rockies against David Price is see how he's working on the inner half of the plate, because he wants to work in, but he's missed quite a bit in.
And it's cost him. I mean, that's why the ERA was very high. Now, he's made some mechanical adjustments, just trying to get a little bit more hip turn into his delivery, and that's why you'll see him standing off to the side and then just turning more, and that's trying to be a little more deceptive with his delivery.
2 strikes to count on Story. And that just missed. 1-2. One of the guys that actually saw something in his delivery and helped him out was his teammate Dustin Pedroia.
Well, you see different things even when you're standing behind a pitcher that doesn't seem normal. And Dustin's faced David Price a number of times, so he knows what it should look like.
So it remains 1-2. The Rockies in 2013 played 4 games against Boston. That's when Helton went deep against Jake Peavy in the final home game of the year for the Rockies, and Todd's final home game. They were 0-2 in Boston, split the 2 games at Coors Field. And strike 3. So Story caught looking, and that's the second out. Jerry Lane, the home plate umpire, also the crew chief.
Looked like it was in the same location as the 0-2 pitch that he called a ball on the Subaru Supermo. It was a slider, or maybe a cut fastball.
That looked like it was wide of the zone.
And that's exactly what Trevor mouthed to him. Said, wasn't that ball outside?
2 outs, nobody on, and Arenado steps up. Nolan's first home run at Coors Field and his second career home run was a grand slam against David Price.
Only 2 grand slams that Price has given up in his career.
And it's a called strike.
And this,
check with Hunter Wendelstedt.
This was the last time that David Price had faced the Rockies. Well, says thank you very much. I'll take the 4 RBIs and my first career.
2 strikes to count on Nolan. Catching tonight is Christian Vasquez, good receiver. Boston comes in 27-17. The Rockies, after losing yesterday 6-3 in Boston, 21-22. 2-4 on the trip in Pittsburgh, I should say. And a defensive swing, and Price with a 1-2-3 beginning, including a couple of punch outs. Jorge De La Rosa will take them out for the Rockies when we come back to Fenway. Months of the season, chilly. It's a chilly night in fill in the blank. Well, it's a chilly night in Boston tonight. Temperature at 55 degrees. Good news is it's supposed to be in the 80s the next couple of days. 2 of the warmest days so far this year in Boston coming up. But tonight's a cold one. Mookie Betts at 279, one of the better. Boy, he's got a scowl on his face, huh? He's one of the better leadoff men in baseball. Very good player. He's Got 9 home runs out of that leadoff spot. Here's the Southwest batting order for John Farrell. Dustin Pedroia will bat second. Xander Bogaerts, 23-year-old phenom at shortstop. Then Big Papi at 329. Hanley Ramirez, Chris Young. I guess you're pretty deep when a guy with a 27-game hitting streak batting 7th and hitting 342. That's where Jackie Bradley Jr. is. Then Josh Rutledge, the former Rocky. He'll play third base batting 8th. And Vasquez batting 9th. And Jorge De La Rosa making his first start in basically a month.
Yeah, April 26 was his last start for Colorado, and that was against Pittsburgh. Had to come out of that game with the groin strain. Went down to Albuquerque, 3 starts down there. It's going to be interesting today to look at the fastball, see what that velocity is, and see if he uses it more than his split finger. And by more, I mean a lot more.
Sharply hit. Story is going to throw out Betts. What a play by Trevor Story. And he had to do it in that fashion, Huey. He couldn't plant because Betts runs too well.
Kind of reminds you of a Derek Jeter when he was playing all these games against Boston. Today it's Trevor Story doing what he needs to do. I mean, one hopper, you don't have time to set your feet. The only option you have is to get it over there in the vicinity, and another good stretch from Mark, knowing where he had to stretch to more towards the inside. Well, the Subaru Supermo, it's all about getting those hips turned so you can get enough on that throw. Wow, what a great play from the youngster making his first appearance at Fenway Park.
You know, just a little over a month separate Xander Bogaerts and Trevor Story. Bogaerts a lot more experienced in the big leagues. He got to the big leagues at 20. And Bogaerts is about 5-6 weeks older than Story. 1 ball, 1 strike on everybody's favorite, Dustin Pedroia. What a gamer this guy is. You're looking at Bogaerts on deck. Here's the 1-1. And a ground ball off the glove of Mark Reynolds. It'll be, I would guess, a hit. He had an in-between hop he was trying to get to. So Pedroia on for Bogaerts with 1 out. Here's the Rockies defensively. They've been very good, as you know. Parra, Blackman, and Cargo in the outfield. Arenado, errorless baseball at third. Trevor Story. DJ LeMahieu, errorless baseball at second. Mark Reynolds been very sound at first base. Dustin Garneau with the gear on. Bogaerts has a 16-game hitting streak. Normally, he'd be drawing all the headlines, but I mean, he's nowhere close to his teammate Bradley. Bradley with a 27-game hit streak.
For Bogaerts, this is a perfect spot for him. Kind of flying underneath the radar. You have Pedroia hitting in front of you. You got Big Papi hitting behind you.
This lineup is just really, really deep, and in particular at home, where they've won 11 of their last 13. Check this out. Over that period of time, they've hit 346 for John Farrell at Fenway, and they're averaging almost 8.5 runs a game, and that's down the left field line. And it's into the corner. Pedroia will stop at third. It's a double for Bogaerts. He's now hit in 17 in a row.
And also his 64th hit of the season, which leads the American League. 64 hits. There's no doubt about this swing and the result from Xander Bogaerts. He pulls the hands inside, hits it off the wall in left field, and then trots into second base. I mean, this is kind of the MO for the Red Sox this month, basically, because you got these guys getting on base and then Big Papi coming to the plate.
Big Papi has driven in 37. He's hit 11 home runs, and here's maybe a mini shocker. He has more doubles than anybody in the game. He's got 19 doubles, Hugh.
Well, and some of those, they're so close to getting out there to the ground rule doubles, where they'll hit off the warning track and bounce into the bullpen. Almost hit for the cycle on Sunday against the Indians. He starts off, says, yeah, I'll just have a seeing-eye single. And this is the one I referenced with the bouncer into the seats. And then one into the seats without a bounce. So close for Big Poppy. That's the second or third time this year he's almost hit for the cycle.
And he's come up with a lot of traffic on. He's got 2 in scoring position, a 1-0 count. His hands as quick as ever, even though he's 40. Didn't catch up there. 92-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 1-1.
I remember last year at the beginning of the year when he was scuffling big time, and people say, "Oh, he's done then."
Not so fast.
No. He rebounded, then said this is going to be his last year, but now we're just leaving that door slightly ajar. I think he joked the other day. He said, somebody wants to pay me $25 million a year, I'll come back.
He better be careful what he says, because there may be a team out there. Boston may be one. Who knows? If he's able to sustain anything close to what he's done the first quarter of the season.
Ow.
Garneau got nicked with that 2-2. And this is one of those deals. De La Rosa needs a punch out in the worst way.
Well, and he has the pitch to do it. He has the split finger to do that. I mean, is it kind of as bad as the ERA, the 1-loss record for De La Rosa? The one thing he had been doing, he had 28 strikeouts and 20 in the third inning.
And he's getting virtually all of his strikeouts on the split finger. Here's the 2-2. And it's on the ground through the left side. Base hit. It'll score 2. He went fastball, and Big Poppy lined it through the vacant area on the left side. It's 2-0 Boston. RBIs 38 and 39 for David Ortiz. Exactly what you didn't want to have happen if you're the Rockies walking into Fenway against the hottest team in the American League.
Just keep them going even after the day off yesterday. I mean, there's a fastball, it's belt high, and Big Poppy's not going to miss that on the Subaru Supermo.
The guy having a resurgence is the guy who steps in, Hanley Ramirez. You may recall that Hanley Ramirez, if you're a devout follower of baseball and prospects, Hanley Ramirez was the top prospect in the Boston organization in the first part of this century, and then he was traded to Miami in a big deal. This ball is lined to right center field. Cargo's going to slide over and make the catch. 2 outs. And here he is again the last couple of years in a Boston uniform.
And much better this year than last year. Well, last year he's playing left field. He's back in the infield where he likes it better.
Yeah, he's trimmed down also. He told us before the game he's lost about 10 pounds. 2 gone. Chris Young, another guy the Rockies are familiar with from his days in the National League West. Young getting the start in left field against the lefty De La Rosa. Ball 1. Young started slowly, and Huey, you remember this. When you're a part-time player in the American League, especially from the right side, if you don't see many lefties,
yeah,
you may not get much PT for a while, and that was what befell Chris early in the year. And then people get on him because you can't get in a groove. All of a sudden you're about 1 for 20, and you say, well, I've only been up 20 times over a month.
Yeah, you're hitting 115, and it's the beginning of May. You say, what's going on? But you're not playing because in the American League, basically what happens, the manager fills out the lineup and then has to decide when to take his pitcher out. I mean, that's kind of their day. They don't look at a whole lot of pinch hitting. And so for a bench guy, you can sit for 6, 7, 8 days. And that's what's challenging for John Farrell, a manager in the American League, is to get enough at bats for their bench guys so they don't get rusty.
He's actually picked it up. He's got some more reps. lately and swung the bat well. I was watching him a few days ago. He had a home run on the tube. That'll end the inning, but Boston with a couple of runs. Single by Pedroia of the infield variety, then Bogarts a double, and David Ortiz on a 2-2 pitch drove them both in with a single.
Head to the top of the second. Ryan Rayburn is due up third for the Rockies. Jenny Kavner back with you down here in the camera well. And of course, with interleague play, that means a designated hitter. It'll be Ryan Rayburn today. He spent all of his career in the American League before becoming a Rocky, and he feels like he's back at home.
It's pretty cool, you know, especially since I've played here quite a few times. You know, coming back to a familiar place, you know, but it's cool in the National League too. I'm getting to see places I haven't really seen before. So, you know, as long as I'm still playing this game, I think that's all that I can ask for.
So Rayburn does have a home run. He had 6 hits when he.
Well, we're having an issue evidently with Jenny's mic. We'll get the rest of her thoughts on Ryan Rayburn returning. He had a big smile on his face. And
I like the return of Jenny too.
I like the return of Jenny very much. I mean, you know, we love Mark, but you know, it's good to have Jenny out on the road with us.
First road trip of the year for her.
Well, she's been carting those crutches around for a while. Reynolds swings and misses 1 and 2. Reynolds has tagged Price a few times in his career. He's had 8 home runs at Fenway Park. Mark likes playing here.
Who would
have you ever
left-handed power?
Yeah, and I don't know how many players I've ever run into who said, yeah, I don't like Fenway. Way inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Reynolds in interleague play owns 28 home runs. One of the things the Rockies are endeavoring to do this year is turn around their interleague record. Since 2012, 19-56 against the American League, which is the worst record in the big leagues. And conversely, Boston since 2012 is 50-32, tied with the Pirates for the best record in interleague play.
The Rockies just 5-15 last year.
That's slowly hit. Price will glove, scoop it over to Hanley Ramirez. Let's check in again with Jenny.
I think we got the mic fixed. Thanks a lot. Was that your guys' trick to welcome me back? Cut out the mic?
It was not my idea.
Not mine.
Huey Huey said, let's do that. And I said, no, I'm dead set against it. It's unfair. It's cruel. She's just coming back. But he said, yes, I insist.
Yeah, you guys are such tricksters up there. Well, I want to finish my thought on Ryan Rayburn being the designated hitter. Walt Weiss said with this construction of the lineup that they have right now, a lot of power hitters, great spot to get Rayburn, and obviously having that American League experience. He does have 12 games that he's played here at Fenway. He has 6 hits. He has a home run here. Very familiar with it. Also in the designated hitter spot, he's played 93 games. So I know we have Larry Walker on Toyota Talk Takeover tonight, and I actually want to ask Larry Walker about that because he played 27 games as a designated hitter, and it's so difficult for some of these guys to transition in the National League to that spot. Ryan Rayburn said you have to stay warm. You got to constantly go in the cage in between. You're not out on your feet playing defense. So I'd want to know from Larry Walker's perspective, not having done it very often, what that change is like when you are in interleague play.
Well, we'll hear from Larry on that in a little bit. Huey, you probably weren't in that role a ton because you were out there on defense, I would assume.
I did. I was able to DH, I think, once in my career. It's really weird. It's just so awkward. And for here at Fenway Park, because you talk about hitting in a cage, well, the cage is out in center field.
You can't.
So you can't do it.
Excuse me.
Time out for a second.
Pardon me.
Coming through.
I jog through the outfield in the middle of an inning.
Well, and you know, we've all been in the locker room here. It's you can practically touch from one wall to the other wall with just standing in the middle. So there's not a whole lot of room to get loose or stay warm here in the locker room.
1 out. Cargo at the plate. That's wide. 2-2. Cargo threw out a couple of hits yesterday, an infield hit, and also a pretty sharp single to left. Every day Walt gets asked, you think Cargo's ready to break out? And he said, every game I feel that way. At some point he's going to break out, and then it's going to be lookout. This is in the air to center field. Retreating is Bradley, and he'll make the catch. 2 outs. Well, tonight, former Blake Street Bomber Larry Walker taking over, as Jenny mentioned, the Root Sports Twitter account. You can tweet your questions for Larry at @RootSports_RM during tonight's ball game. And Walk, how we doing, Fit Rocks fans? Looking forward to answering your questions during Twitter Talk Takeover tonight. Larry, are you in West Palm? Are you up in a Wisconsin cabin right now? Are you in BC? Or parts in between.
Or the driving range.
Yeah. Here's Rayburn. He takes inside, ball 1. Ryan at 300. He's hit 5 home runs with his new club. Couple off the bench. Red Sox with a 2-0 lead as the Rockies bat in the top of the 2nd. Is Huey dyeing his hair?
No,
see, this was the dangerous part of having Larry on.
No, Larry, I'm not. Just because you shave your head still, I don't know. I texted Larry last week, said, hey, can you help us out, buddy? Can you do this? He said, what do I have to do? I said, just answer questions. Can I do it on my couch? I said, yes. He goes, then nothing's changed.
Walk, what do you think of my hairpiece?
Oh, Walk, I've said this before, and I'll say it again one more time, because I had the extreme privilege of playing a long time in the big leagues. There's 3 guys that I thought were off the charts athletically. They could do whatever they wanted on the field. You got Robbie Alomar, Ken Griffey Jr., and Larry Walker. Those 3 guys, not just because he's on tonight.
Are you kissing up to him now?
No, I'm not. I'm not, because Larry could do stuff that other people only dreamt they could do. And whether you needed a stolen base, you needed a home run, you needed somebody thrown out at the plate, he was able to do that, and he made it all look easy. I will say this, though, the only time he didn't make it look easy, when they tried to play him at third base in Burlington, Iowa, when we were together in '86, and he almost killed a few people down the first base line because he overthrew the first baseman so bad.
Yeah, they moved him quickly after
yes,
that.
Yes, they did.
Well, as good a player as Larry was, great a player as Larry was, I find him entertaining.
Very. He enjoys life.
He's a funny guy. So the Rockies have their first base runner, Rayburn, at first, with Parra at the plate. Lefty's hitting just 176 so far this year against David Price. But Parra has hit 326 left on left. Parra got a knock in the 9th inning yesterday, which hopefully got himself out of a little funk. He was 1 for his previous 23 at the plate. Price has been pounding the strike zone. Seems like he's ahead of everybody. 0-2. And that is lined to left, and it skips past Chris Young all the way to the wall. Rayburn to third. He's going to get a green light from Stu Cole, and the throw to the plate is in time, out at the plate. Vasquez did a great job picking up a short hop and applying the tag.
And Bogarts had to pick up a short hop too. Well, the relay from Chris Young to Bogarts back home.
This is where the short.
Yeah, but they're going to have a look at this one. But yeah, you're right. The short wall in left field, because it's only 310 feet down the line.
And Walt may have seen some, or Brian Jones more accurately may have seen perhaps a foot in before the tag, and the Rockies will challenge. Here's Rayburn.
Wow, that's going to be real close, because watch the foot, and he doesn't tag him until it gets to the hip.
We can't see the plate on that angle. This one should tell us.
Foot on.
He's on.
Safe.
He's safe.
He is safe.
He is safe.
Yeah, right here, left foot, right.
Slow.
Now.
Yeah, that's not, you know, again, Jerry Lane's got to call it full speed. Breaking it down, that's not close. That should be a quick review in New York.
You can even hear the groans here at Fenway
the crowd
Park.
realizes
the
it.
Crowd saw it. Now, Dustin Garneau has to get ready to hit. There's a runner on third base. And Parra kept going on the throw home. Foot in, tags applied, he's safe.
Here's what I don't understand. Why, seriously, why is this taking so long?
I have no idea. Safe.
But Jerry Lane indicating for everybody else now, Boston was congregated near the dugout. They're going to have to jog back out to their position. And the Rockies have their first marker up. It's 2-1. And Garneau will come up, as you pointed out, with the tying run at third and 2 outs.
Because that was smart on Gerardo's part to keep going. And then if they elect to go to third, you get in the run down, the run scores anyway. But he just kept going to third base as a throw went home.
We don't have an official scoring yet as to whether it's a single and a 2-base error or a straight triple.
I don't understand how John Farrell can come out and argue this, though, because I thought that was part of the replay instrument.
Well, now why is he calling in the entire umpiring crew? Unless he's challenging. So what would he be challenging?
No, maybe where was Parra? Where was Parra? But if you go back and look, he was already halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way to third base. So if you see Rayburn come around, we know he's going to be safe. Where does Parra end up? And he ends up at third. I mean, I don't even know. He never broke stride.
Yeah, and so they quickly rectify that.
Well, I guess that's the only thing they could have been looking at.
It has scored a triple, so Parra with his 21st RBI. And now Garneau in his first Fenway Park appearance. Inside, he was really excited today. He got to the park very early, went inside the Green Monster, took the tour. And he said that, you know, he's a West Coast guy, grew up a Dodger fan, but he was always a huge fan of Jason Varitek.
Long-time catcher here. He wore the C here for the Boston Red Sox, did Veritek.
Garneau has a 2-0 count to work with. That was a great call, great challenge. I think every right-handed batter in particular, Hugh, you batted from the left side. I know you played pepper a couple times with the wall in your trips here, but every right-handed batter, particularly in BP, once they get that first round and going oppo out of the way, they want to turn and see how many they can hit over the wall.
Because it looks so close when you're in the box. It just feels like it's right behind the shortstop. And you don't get that feeling in any other park.
2-1. The other thing you get a lot of is that kind of foul ball over the roof of the stadium and gone.
You have to be careful as you're walking down the side streets. Right out in front of Fenway Park, it's Yawkey Way.
Past the Monsters, Lansdowne Street. 2-2. Good swing. Righties far more success against David Price. They're hitting .276 this year. And Price has never beaten the Rockies. He's 0-2. Last meeting was May 4th, 2013 at Coors Field.
And the Rockies hit .339 off of Price.
And he works underneath this. Center field, Jackie Bradley Jr. waiting. He makes the catch to end the inning, but the Rockies rally with 2 outs. A walk to Rayburn, tripled by Parra, and it's 2-1. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Bank of the West. For a personal approach to banking, go West. Bank of the West. By your hometown Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Overcast and misty earlier in the day. It remains overcast as his first pitch is lined to deep left field. It's going to go off the wall. And it is going to be a double for Jackie Bradley Jr. And he got that over with quickly. He's now hit it 28 straight. Last player in Major League Baseball to hit 28 straight, one Nolan Arenado.
Wasting no time to Jackie Bradley. He is now 8 for his last 13 against left-handed pitching, and this is what he does to lefties. He wears out that green monster. I mean, that was his approach in batting practice. I watched his whole round. I just wanted to see what he was doing so special at the plate. And this is what he did in batting practice. So he just carries it over to the game.
With the green monster and also some of the geometry of this ballpark, you have different responsibilities, not only as an outfielder, but with the middle infielders, Huey, and you can better explain it having played a number of games here.
Well, as we just saw with that ball off the green monster, you see the pop-up to DJ in shallow right. But you'll see that ball come really hard off the green monster where Trevor might have to go out and field that. And the other part of this ballpark, besides the green monster, is right down the third base line. If that ball hooks right around the bag, kind of where the ball person is sitting on that bucket, it'll careen off there back into play, so a shortstop could pick that ball up instead of the outfielder.
And you went out and picked balls off the monster bunch.
I had to do that off that wall, so it's not just, hey, I'm here to play infield. I've got to be aware of this ballpark.
Here's a quick strike on Christian Vasquez. Catcher batting ninth in the Boston lineup. Bradley at second. Rutledge popped out. You know, one stat, there's a lot of stats with Boston offensively that jump off the page at you. But I got one that you and I were discussing on the plane ride in from Pittsburgh yesterday. They're 31 out of 34 stealing bases.
91.2% stolen base percentage. That's the highest in the major leagues. And you really don't think about that with the Boston Red Sox. You think, oh, they hit all these home runs, a lot of doubles. They score. They're on pace to score 950 runs this year. But 31 of 34 stealing bases. I mean, that's what it's kind of.
Historically, you've never thought of Boston as a running team.
Not at all. Not with this ballpark.
Vasquez hits it well to center field. Charlie going back, still going back, can't make the catch. Bradley was standing on the bag to tag up. Now he rounds third. He'll score. Vasquez is at third, standing up. Just his fourth hit this year in 21 at-bats with runners in scoring position. And it's 3-1 Boston. Well, I hate to say it, but De La Rosa's not fooling anybody. They've been barreling up the baseball in the first two innings.
Well, Jackie Bradley leadoff double. Now Vasquez, really one of the toughest balls for a center fielder, the one directly over your head, because how much do you turn and try to run? Because Charlie did the best he could as he's going back and trying to reach over his head and body to make the catch.
Now you got to bring the infield in. Down by 2 with Price on the mound, and this is lined to center field. Charlie's got to come in with the wind, and here's the throw to the plate, and he's not going to get it there.
I think he left too soon. I would appeal this maybe to third base, because it sure seemed like he got off there quick.
Worth it. Doesn't cost you anything.
No.
For the moment, Betts has his 34th RBI, which is an extraordinary figure considering he's a leadoff man. Nolan's looking in at the dugout and asking about it.
I guess not. It just appeared. I was kind of watching. You know, that's like umpires or infielders have to do. You're watching out of one side, trying to see where the ball was, and then at third base, it just gave the appearance that he took off, but obviously he didn't.
2 in the first, 2 in the second for Boston with Pedroia at the plate. He had an infield hit off the glove of Mark Reynolds in the first inning.
Man, you hate to give those runs back. You fought for the one in the top half of the second.
And that's a base hit to right. It's got to be really frustrating for De La Rosa. A year ago, the league hit .247 against him. 2 years ago, they hit .238. And this year coming in, they're hitting .330. And it's as if the arsenal's now just short enough where guys are barreling him with regularity.
And the fastball, they were hitting .583 off his fastball. And his fastball set up the split finger. And sometimes he'd try to throw the split finger more and use the fastball as a kind of a show me pitch.
Here's Bogaerts. Bogaerts a double in the first inning to extend his hitting streak to 17 games. I wonder when there was the last time a team had two guys with a hitting streak of at least 17 games.
Go back to that play again with Charlie and Vasquez. No, he's on the bag. And you see the positioning of the umpire where he was. Yeah, I think it was just that little rock that he gave before he took off that threw me.
And that's line to left, the base hit.
Well, and with part of the problem now too is with the short outing yesterday by Jordan Lyles. You know, your long man is typically Chris Russin, but he pitched 4 2/3 yesterday.
So he's not available. You probably have to do a combination of Justin Miller, Gonzalez, Germain. If you had to go to the pen early, and right now, that's a distinct possibility. Ortiz up with 2 on, 7 hits in an inning and 2/3, 4 runs against De La Rosa.
And the transaction to activate Jorge tonight was to option Jordan Lyles back to Albuquerque.
Jason Mott threw back-to-back. Well, they got rained out. He threw in back-to-back games for Albuquerque, but they weren't in successive days. He is here, and in all likelihood will be activated tomorrow. Of course, Jason Mott's not a long haul guy. Jason Mott's whole career been on the plus side for an inning late. Poppy a 2-run single through the left side his first time up. Here's the 1-0. Curveball. And the guy they may use in long relief today is Eddie Butler.
Because Eddie was pushed back a day. He, with the short start by Bettis on Sunday, he was originally scheduled to go on Thursday here in Fenway, but now that would be bumped back to Friday. So he would be that guy.
Well, that'll get the Rockies off the field. 2 are left on, 2 score in the inning, 4 hits against De La Rosa in the second. It's 4-1 Red Sox. 4-1 as we go to the top of the third. DJ LeMahieu then the top of the order for Colorado. Here's our Office Liquidators series storylines. De La Rosa making his first start in almost a month. Jackie Bradley Jr., well, they didn't contain him his first at bat. He doubled off the monster to extend his hitting streak to 28 games. The Rockies 2-4 on the road trip, playing 3 here in Boston. And they have to play from behind, 4-1. They got a run last inning, a 2-out walk to Rayburn, and then Gerardo Parra tripled to left. Chris Young tried to make a shoestring catch. It went behind him all the way to the wall. Bang, bang play at the plate. Initially, Rayburn called out. Rockies challenged, and they flipped the call. 1-1 on LeMahieu. DJ hit .301 last year. He comes in at .303. A lot of players, especially the elite collegiate players, Huey, are familiar with this area, having played in the Cape.
Walt Weiss played in the Cape. Number of players. I mean, that was a premier league to be able to go to. I mean, there was a time when it was kind of split between Alaska and the Cape. That was a number of years ago, and now the Cape is it. That's the
Cape,
golden league.
The Cape is the #1 league, and the Northwoods League is a close second now in the upper Midwest. One and two on LeMahieu. There are more summer collegiate leagues than there's ever been before.
I mean, you can find a league if you want to play in one. There's a couple in Colorado. There's also some out on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington.
Yep, there's a number of them. You played in the old Jayhawk League.
Jayhawk League, yeah. There's still some teams there. There's in Beatrice, Nebraska, just 40 miles south of Lincoln.
Hayes Lark.
Hayes. Wichita was in that league. Yeah, but who wouldn't want to come to the Cape in the summertime?
Most guys' hands would be raised. This is bounced to third, and Rutledge throws out LeMahieu. So where is Larry Walker watching and tweeting tonight from? His sofa in Boca. Cut your nails, Larry. Actually,
how many guitars did he have there? I don't remember Larry playing the guitar unless he picked it up. Maybe those are just autographed ones.
Got a Gibson over in the corner, huh? One out. Blackman, who hit a ground ball to first, is at the plate.
Charlie, since coming off the DL, he's hitting 18 of 22 games.
This ball's well hit to right. Turning his back as Betts looking up, and it's gone. Home run. Charlie Blackman makes it 4-2.
They make that 19 of 23. Third home run of the season for Charlie. And the first given up by David Price to a left-handed batter. I didn't miss this pitch at all. It sounded loud, traveled far.
That's the first home run that Price has given up to a left-handed batter, as you said, this year. 6th overall. Here's Story. And the first pitch in there for a strike.
And that's one of the toughest and deepest part of the ballparks for a left-hander to hit a ball out, where he did into the Rockies bullpen.
That's gone. It's foul. That thing landed in Cambridge. Two strikes on Story. 1-2 on Trevor. Rockies come into tonight 10-10 in the month of May, 13-12 out on the road.
We tried to backdoor Cutter his first at bat. Price trying to keep Trevor honest. He must have had a good catch out there.
That or they just felt like giving that guy high fives.
Okay, well, here we go. Oh, bare hand.
That was a good catch.
That was a good catch.
You know what? He caught it, stuck it, and didn't get his hand pinned against the rail.
Didn't get hurt or drop his beer. Anything.
Perfect.
Any of the above.
It's a top play. And Story out front, and that's the second out. Second time Price has struck out Trevor, and that'll bring up Arenado. Larry Walker talking about his fondest memory of Fenway Park, '99 All-Star game. Ted Williams on the pitcher's mound and all of us players gathered around him. I remember that very well, watching it on television. I think it was kind of a real special moment between Tony Gwynn in particular and Ted Williams.
Yeah, they were out there together on the mound, and two of the best hitters of all time.
Nolan takes ball one. He struck out on a fastball away his first time up. Rare strikeout for Arenado. This is popped up and perhaps playable for Hanley Ramirez, and he went too far toward the Red Sox dugout.
Just overran that baseball. He's going, keeps peeking, looking to see where he was, and in the meantime lost sight of the baseball.
They'll take advantage.
I was going to say that. Take advantage if you're Nolan.
Just foul. And there's exactly what you talked about. That actually would have been a ground rule double, because that didn't hit the wall. I believe it hit a chair in the stands, but there was that hard right-hand turn that actually Bogarts was the one who got to the baseball.
The redirection. It's like a pool shot. You know, cue ball off the side wall back over to the other side of the billiard table.
Those folks right there better be paying attention.
Yeah, it's not look at your phone and talk.
That's a rarity. Nolan goes down swinging twice in one game. Rockies get a run back. Charlie Blackmon with his third home run of the year. As he goes deep to right field. Boston leading 4-2. All of our Sweetwater cable television viewers from Rock Springs, Wyoming, thanks for watching the Rockies on Root Sports. Be sure to tell us where you're watching from on Twitter at @RootSports_RM. Rockies down 4-2. De La Rosa needs quick inning, and Hanley Ramirez swings at the off-speed pitch out in front 0-1. Hanley Ramirez, Chris Young, Jackie Bradley Jr. here in the third for Boston. Boston was off yesterday. On Sunday, they defeated Cleveland 5-2. Rick Porcello's now 7-2 for Boston. On the ground, nice pickup, Mark Reynolds. That's a heck of a pickup, Huey.
Well, and if you remember, for Mark Reynolds, he had that ball go off his glove to his right. Now he has to make a play to his left, and if it gets down this line, no telling what's going to happen. But he has to pick it, slide, and then come up and make an underhand toss to De La Rosa, who is quickly getting over to the bag. I mean, that ball was almost by him on the Subaru Supermo, but Mark had his glove in prime position, and then the underhand flip.
Boy, that is a tremendous play. And an off-speed pitch, and Chris Young is out front. Young struck out, the only strikeout thus far for De La Rosa. 2 runs, 3 hits in the first inning, 2 runs, 4 hits allowed in the second inning. Cutter, slider. Take your choice. It was inside. 1-1.
Oh, nice snag.
Everybody's making plays.
I have seen some ball people down the line that they accidentally grab it when it's a fair ball, because it gets by that bag so fast. It's natural instinct.
They have a glove on, they're reacting, Huey. They're on the field of play.
Right. And then you'll see them drop it and say, "Oh, sorry about that."
Yeah, I've seen that also. Oopsie. Nobody saw that, right?
I guess we won't remind Larry about the time he did that in Dodger Stadium.
Try to grab it back from the fan. How rude. 2-2. And a pop-up that Trevor Story will backpedal on. 2 outs. That'll bring up Jackie Bradley Jr. You'll hear it from the crowd.
Well, he's just 6 hits away from tying the Boston record all time.
See, everybody's talking about the 75-year anniversary of Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. The longest hitting streak in Boston history was by Joe DiMaggio's brother Dom. And there was a third brother who played the big league, Vince DiMaggio, but Dom DiMaggio hit in 34 straight games in 1949. That is the Red Sox record. And Bradley Jr. had a double earlier, and he's going to have an infield hit here. He has hit in 28 consecutive games.
For Dom DiMaggio, he's got to say, what do I have to do? 34 games is pretty good, but my brother overshadowed me. And now for Jackie Bradley Jr., who is hitting over 400 during this streak. And these are the hits you'll get. I mean, he had the solid double off the ball. Don't get me wrong. This guy is just flat out raking right now. But then you get the swinging type right past the pitcher, goes off the end of his glove for another hit.
That'll bring up Josh Rutledge. Rutledge popped the second his first time out. First time up. Rut's done a good job in Boston. Doesn't play every day, but when he's been given an opportunity, he has swung the bat well. Brought a .371 average in. He's played good defense. When he first came up with the Rockies, remember, he went off. Hit a lot of long balls.
What was it, 6 in the first 20 games? There's another shortstop that just broke that earlier this year.
Yep. Runs really well. Good athlete. This game is so hard to sustain success with the Angels and now the Red Sox, but it's good to see him back in the big leagues. Remember, the Angels traded for him and he got beat out.
That's right. Rockies got Jairo Diaz in that trade.
Jairo Diaz, if you are wondering, folks, had Tommy John surgery during spring training. Guy throws in the upper 90s, touches 100, 101. We'll see Jairo again next year.
We saw him down in Arizona. We'll see him in the clubhouse in Colorado. So continue to get well, Jairo.
If he needs moral support, he just has to walk over and talk to
good.
Adam Ottavino. There's other guys in there. Tyler Chatwood's gone through it twice.
Yeah, this is kind of, it seems like any number of guys you can go and say, how was yours? What was yours like? How you doing?
3-1 on Rutledge. And ball 4. And after getting the first 2 out, and then the worm burner on the right side that De La Rosa didn't field. After that walk, he's created a situation again. 2 on. And Christian Vasquez, who tripled to dead center field, is coming to the plate. Strike 1 on Vasquez.
I've seen some 92s, 93 mile-an-hour fastballs from De La Rosa tonight. Before he was put on the DL, it was more like 89, 90.
And Nolan ends the inning with that play. So there was an infield hit and a walk, 2 left on. We'll go to the 4th inning. Red Sox 4, Rockies 2.
Top of the 4th, it'll be Mark Reynolds leading off for the Colorado Rockies. Well, Mark Reynolds, he has 8 home runs right here at Fenway Park, and that happens to be on a very short list of visitors that have had home runs here at Fenway since 2011. So here's the list of those hitters. It includes Joey Batista with 14, Encarnacion with 12, and Evan Longoria with 9, and then Mark Reynolds tied with A-Rod for 8 home runs here. And that's good news because Mark Reynolds sitting on hit 999 in his career. He's looking for that big 1,000. I want Larry Walker to tell us about his 1,000th hit if he remembers about it.
Jenny, thank you. And Mark with a 1-strike count. hit a comebacker his first time up. Cargo's on deck, then Ryan Rayburn. Rockies down a couple of runs against David Price. And we talked about it earlier. Price has a 6-1 record, but he has, certainly by his standards, an unsightly 5.53 ERA. It's over 6 here at Fenway.
Yeah, but he's 3-0, 675 out on the road, 3-1 with the 4.15. What he is getting, though, is a ton of run support. 8.46 runs per ball game for Mr. Price.
Well, typically, he hasn't needed that kind of run support to get wins. 110 and 57 in his career at 3.18 career ERA, and that is as clean a single as you will get. And congratulations to Mark Reynolds. That is hit number 1,000. Get him that baseball. And that's exactly what they're doing. David Price throwing it to Rutledge and over to Stu Cole. Keepsake for Mark Reynolds.
And what a special moment it is for Mark. A cut fastball, and then he just hit it right back up the originator where it came from. That's what you want to be able to say. On my 1,000th hit, I remember it was a little cut fastball, center cut. I took it right back up the middle off of David Price.
Yeah, it wasn't against somebody that nobody had ever heard of. Cargo takes a strike. Cargo hit a fly ball to fairly deep center field his first time up. A couple of hits yesterday in that makeup game in Pittsburgh. Cargo owns a home run against Price. Inside.
I think Cargo might take one off the Green Monster. Good feeling about him going the other way off of David Price. Not this time.
Price makes a good feed to Bogarts. They'll get the lead runner, 1 out, and that'll bring up Rayburn. Let's check in with Jenny again. More on 1,000 hits for Mark Reynolds and the 1,000 hit club.
Yeah, guys, we were talking to Walt before the game, and I asked him if he remembers his 1,000th hit. He had 1,207 hits, to be exact, in his career. He said it was his very first game in Atlanta. He actually had a 3-hit game, so his second hit was .999, and then his third hit, or what he thought was a hit, ended up going down as an error in the book. He said he just hit one right up the first baseline, and the first baseman kind of reached out, and he knew it was a hit right away. Well, they called an error, so he didn't actually find out till later. So he does not have his baseball from his 1,000th hit. How anticlimactic is that?
That's not fair.
It's not how it's supposed to work.
But there have been 1,287 players that have had 1,000 hits in the major leagues.
Gives you an idea how special 3,000 is.
Heads up, Drew. That was close. Just in the other.
There's a booth
the
over
radio
and
booth.
just above our old friend Tim Neverrett's booth. Timmy moved from the Pirates to the Red Sox this year on the radio side. Oh, and 2 on Ryan Rayburn. Now everybody's saying they would have made the play.
I would have had it. That's what they're saying.
By percentage, less than 7% of players who've played in the big leagues.
18,746 guys have put on a major league uniform.
6.9% have produced 1,000 or more hits. kind of a milestone game for Rayburn. It's his 100th as a DH. Two-two, and a double play ball. Pedroia to Bogarts on to first. Rockies done in their half of the fourth. Boston leading at Fenway 4-2. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Mookie Betts, and Betts takes a strike. You know, Mookie Betts was a kid. His uncle is Terry Shumpert. Terry had a very fine big league career. Played several years with the Rockies. And remember Mookie in the early 2000s running around the field as a little kid. Well, Terry was taking BP, and here he is starring now in the big leagues. And Mookie's nephew, Terry's son, Nicholas, who's a big star in Colorado, now playing at San Jacinto. And we had, you know, they're going to the Junior College World Series, one of the national powers. We had Jamie Hamilton on last week. So good luck to Nick and San Jac in that tournament.
Yeah, what a neat experience that is.
Two balls and a strike on Betts. He had a sac fly his last time up, and that misses. 3-1. Betts, check this out, Huey. He hits leadoff. He's got 34 RBIs, and then you go back to the start of 2015, and he has driven in over 100 runs in that spot. This is in the air to shallow center.
Also 83 extra base hits in that spot.
That's middle of the order production, and he's hitting in the one hole.
Because of this lineup, that's where he has to hit.
One out, Dustin Pedroia coming up. Here's great news down on the farm. Brought to you by Blackhawk. The Hartford Yard Goats got a guy back, one of the top prospects in the Rockies chain, Antonio Senzatella. And Senzatella had been out since the second week of the season. 6 innings of one-run baseball, and that run was unearned. He had 4 strikeouts and a walk. Very mature young man who has really good stuff. He's in that group with Hoffman and Freeland and Marquez, 4 terrific young starting pitchers who are not far away.
And that rotation just gets stronger with him in there. He just took some time off to make sure that that arm was right, and now back in there.
2-0, and that's down low. 3-0 on Pedroia, who's 2 for 2. And that minor league report brought to you by the City of Blackhawk once again. Road to win. A minor league report. So good for Senzatella. There's a strike.
We beat the Bowie Bay Sox.
Did you play in the Eastern League?
No. Nope, in the Southern League. I was with Larry in Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, that had to be warm.
Oh, that was a treat.
Second walk allowed by De La Rosa. Xander Bogaerts coming up. He's 2 for 2, a double and a single. Bogaerts came into the ball game with an OPS of 891.
See how many young stud shortstops there are these days. You got Francisco Lindor. You got 2 premier guys in this game, and Trevor and Xander. Correa in Houston.
And like Trevor Story, this is a big, strong kid. He's, close to 6'2", 210, 215 pounds. And that's what, that's what Trevor Story is. 6'2", about 212, 215.
And they can both do it defensively as well as offensively.
Kid's made only 1 error, Bogaerts, and we know what kind of defense Story has played. From the Dutch Antilles. Big Poppy's on deck, 2-1. Pedroia at first. Two-run lead, and with the problems that De La Rosa's had holding runners. Remember the Cincinnati game, 5 stolen bases in 1 inning. Concerned about Pedroia taking off. Probably not here on a 3-1. Who knows? He doesn't have a big lead, and that misses. Back-to-back walks. And now you've put 2 on for Ortiz. It has been a struggle since the first pitch tonight for De La Rosa. Some career numbers for Big Poppy. 14 years in Boston. He's now the longest active tenured player with 1 team. And how about this? One of 4 players with 500 home runs and 3 World Series championships. The other 3, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, and gentleman who just turned 70, Reggie Jackson. One of 3 players with 930 and 100 seasons with the same team. Ruth and Gehrig, the other 2. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Fame.
No doubt. 603 doubles in his career, 514 home runs.
And he's been a marvelous ambassador for the game.
54 home runs in the 2006 season, which set a single season record for the Red Sox.
Poppy a 2-run single and a comebacker, and that is down the line. Extra bases. He's going to drive in some more. Pedroia will score. Green light for Bogaerts. He'll score standing up. 4 RBI night for Ortiz. 6-2 Boston, and it's his 20th double of the year.
Making 13 extra base hits in his last 13 games. Both walks come around to score. And if there was any question about the bat speed of Big Papi slowing down, well, I don't think so. Now 604 career doubles. It ties Paul Wainer 12th.
Steve Foster will come out in the Rockies bullpen. Eddie Butler is out there. Look at Big Papi putting his armor. He knows what guys are doing, even in the other league. What a special moment for Trevor Story.
Well, to have him put his hand on your shoulder, say, hey, keep it going, kid. A lot of respect for what Big Papi does in this game by other players, too.
Trevor saying, listen, I got my poster of you on my wall. I put it up when I was 8.
Right.
I don't want to make you feel old, but Hanley Ramirez at the plate. And
that hit him.
Yeah, it did hit him. So Ramirez, when he recovers, will limp to first. First and second, still only one out, and that'll bring up Chris Young. And I would assume as soon as Butler is ready, he'll be in this game. The Rockies, because they had to play yesterday, are going to play 27 straight days.
Yeah, it's obviously the rule is you can't play more than 20 straight, but sometimes you have to bypass those rules, and that's what had to happen with the makeup game from Sunday. You had to go ahead and play that game on Monday. That's where you have to make sure it's really hard with pitching, because you don't want to have to burn your bullpen too much. It goes off the right foot on the Subaru Supermo of Hanley Ramirez. But with the short start from Jordan Lyles at 2 1/3 yesterday, Chris Russin really saved the pin 4 2/3. But it is making Eddie Butler have to get up in tonight's game. And now you're already looking forward to, well, what's going to happen on Friday then?
And Eddie's going to come in the game right now. With the delay for Ramirez, it allowed Butler to probably throw another 10 pitches. And that'll be all for De La Rosa. So not the return that he was looking for. Not the return that the Rockies were hoping for Jorge. Boston leading 6-2 at Fenway. Bos is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru, by CenturyLink, your link to what's next, and by GMC. Rockies in Boston, and so far it's not gone well. 6-2, the Red Sox leading. Jorge De La Rosa gone after 3 1/3. And he'll be relieved by Eddie Butler, who has been pitching very good baseball. Got the ERA under 4. You got to like the whip, Huey, 1.16. He's not walking people.
That's the key for Eddie from last year to this year. In his last start, 6 innings pitched, just 1 earned run allowed.
Chris Young will lead things off for Butler with 2 on.
The second time this year that Eddie's come in relief from pitching out of the pen.
And the first
time was John Gray.
And he did a great job. Strikeout and a pop out for Chris Young. Ortiz at second, Hanley Ramirez at first. And that's driven the gap in left center field. Big Poppy will score. Hanley Ramirez is going to end up at third on a single by Young. The 6th RBI, make it 7-2 Boston. They are a juggernaut right now offensively. That's their 10th hit. They've produced 10 or more hits in 16 of their last 18 games. It's the #1 offense in baseball. And if you look at the numbers, it ain't even close.
They're not expanding the strike zone, but when you come in the zone, they're making you pay. So if you fall behind and if it's ball 1, 2-1, then they really shrink that window that they look at. But this club has not missed very many pitches tonight.
The guy coming up's hitting like 6,000 right now, Jackie Bradley Jr. A double and an infield single. He's extended his hitting streak to 28 games. I'll tell you something amazing about this hitting streak. Jackie Bradley Jr. is hitting 7th. That gives you an idea how deep this lineup is. Guy with a 28-game hitting streak is hitting 7th. But what's more, folks, in 17 games during this hitting streak, he's hit 8th or 9th. So, I mean, John Farrell's rewarding him. Hey, we moved you up to 7th. This is, I don't think, going to be deep enough. Parra makes the catch, and Ramirez comes down about 1/3 of the way. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Rutledge. So how good's your team? Yeah, well, we got a guy hitting over 340. He's hitting 28 straight. We're going to bat him 9th.
Yeah, but where are you gonna move him up to?
Good point.
Hey, Mookie Betts has 34 RBIs. Pedroia, he's hitting 2nd. Bogart's hitting 346. Big Poppy, Hanley. I mean, maybe tonight you could have put him in front of Chris Young, but he just kept him in the same location. And a lot of times in that 6th spot might be Travis Shaw, who's not playing tonight.
Who's having a really fine season.
And the son of former pitcher Jeff Shaw. Good block.
Yep, good block by Garneau.
Well, one thing you always are aware of as a catcher, you call for that breaking pitch, you have to anticipate it being in the dirt. Dustin recognized that and did his job.
On the ground is short. Story comes and gets it, flips to LeMahieu to end the inning. 3 more runs for the Red Sox on a couple of hits or a couple of walks and a hit batter as well. 7-2 Red Sox. Special place, Fenway Park. The statues outside Fenway Park. The nearest guy bespectacled is Dom DiMaggio. He of the 34-game hitting streak. There's one of Yaz out there, one of Ted Williams as well. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light, oldest parks in the game. First ball game here, April the 20th, 1912. So 2 years older than Wrigley Field. Then it's Dodger Stadium, and amazingly, Coors Field is the 12th oldest park now in the big leagues and the 3rd oldest in the National League. And it opened just 21 years ago. With Jeff Houston and Jenny Cavnar, I'm Drew Goodman. Bottom third of the Rockies order in the 5th inning against David Price, Gerardo Parra, Dustin Garneau, DJ LeMahieu. And it's inside on Parra. He tripled to left to drive in one of the 2 Rockies runs. That came in the 2nd. Travis Shaw has come into the ball game at first base, so that foot evidently bothering Hanley Ramirez. So Shaw has come in for Ramirez. Another memory on Fenway Park from Larry Walker, who's with us on the Twitter account tonight. Steven Tyler singing the anthem 5 feet away from me during Game 4 of the World Series. Love Aerosmith. So I got a Steven Tyler story for you and Walker, and I guess everybody else. At the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, the one in New York, 3 straight nights. I think I've told you this story.
Me, yeah,
3 straight nights.
It's a great story. So continue.
Scott Hastings, my radio partner at the time, and I are walking into a
pizza joint.
Ray's Pizza. This ball's pulled to left, stay fair, and it hooks foul for Garneau. So anyhow, we go into Ray's Pizza right near the hotel. Not early in the evening, rather late at night.
Early for New York time.
Still early for New York time. City that never sleeps. Anyhow, Steven Tyler's in there. The first night, kind of say hello, and he's got 3 people with him, and I think 2 of the people actually were from Colorado, part of his mini entourage. Next night, go in there around 2:30 in the morning for a late night snack.
So you just told us what time.
Yeah, well, you know, in the interest of full disclosure, Steven Tyler's in there again with the same group of people. So he obviously likes his Ray's Pizza at around 2:30 in the morning. And I kid you not, the 3rd night we go in there, it's, you know, similar time, and now a lot of the fans have arrived who are going to the Super Bowls. A lot of Seattle fans, a lot of Bronco fans. The place is packed. And there's Steven Tyler, and he's holding court, and people are taking pictures with him. 3 straight nights. Yeah. I kidded with him. I said, why don't you just buy the joint? 1-2 on Garneau. And Shaw is going to get called off, and so will Pedroia by the right fielder Mookie Betts. 2 outs.
You want to be at Coors Field when the Rockies take on the San Francisco Giants May 27th through the 29th. Get your tickets today. That's this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Reminder, Saturday's game, Drew, is a afternoon ball game, okay?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday's afternoon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got it.
So if I show up at 4, I'll be late.
Well, we might already be into the 5th or 6th inning.
Back up the middle, and a base hit for LeMahieu. 4th hit for the Rockies. Got a question for Larry from a fan. Who was the best player you ever played with? Here comes Charlie Blackmon. Charlie, a home run his last time up. Price led the American League in ERA last year. Finished second in the Cy Young voting to Dallas Keuchel. It's the second time he's won an American League ERA title. First pitch in there for a strike.
Well, for David Price, he has a .659 winning percentage. He's 110 and 57. Only Clayton Kershaw has a higher win percentage.
Down the line, foul.
I know you saw what Kershaw did the next night after the Dodgers went 17 innings. Just throws out a nice little tidy two-hitter.
There's the winning percentage. .680 for Kershaw in his career, then Price at .660 basically.
I think the bottom one might surprise some people with Jared Weaver at .628.
Jared Weaver, unfortunately, has lost a lot of velocity. That's why what Kershaw's doing, and really what David Price is doing, so unusual. It's hard to maintain as a pitcher excellence, dominance for a real extended period of time.
That's why some people were questioning 7 years and $217 million for Price.
It is basically, and good for David Price, but it's basically $1 million a start for him, for
not too
Zach
shabby.
Greinke, Dave Dombrowski. Well, Dave Dombrowski brought him to Detroit when Dave was running baseball operations in Detroit. He took over late last year as president of baseball operations in Boston, and one of the first things he did in the offseason was sign a guy he adores, and understandably so, David Price.
Dave Dombrowski's been in the game a long time. He's been worn many hats and very well respected in the game.
Well, one of his biggest regrets, and he shared this with us earlier, was trading you.
Yeah, and he still said hi to me today.
He did.
I don't know how. They traded me from Montreal to Texas. Yeah, it was a good trade for me. It worked out okay.
Actually, in all seriousness, that was a really good trade for you, wasn't it?
It really was. And heck, I always go back to the point is not somebody doesn't want me, but somebody does want you.
Yep, you got to keep that in mind. Story hoping for a shot here in the fifth. Rockies trailing 7-2. LeMahieu a 2-out knock. Blackman with a 2-2 count against David Price. There's 81 pitches in. Three and two. Shaw will move behind DJ. He'll be off with the pitch. And that's club past EY, foul again. They just pick out any ball boy or girl here at Fenway. The two ladies who are fielding on in foul grounds can really pick it on both sides. They both make great plays.
Doesn't matter whether it's forehand or backhand.
And that stays fair. Shaw runs to the bag. That'll end the inning. Middle of 5, the Red Sox 7 and the Rockies 2. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Chilly night in Boston. The Rockies trailing by 5 runs as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Christian Vasquez batting 9th will lead it off against Eddie Butler in relief of Jorge De La Rosa. Eddie got the final 2 outs in the 4th inning. Vasquez a triple and a ground ball to third. Sharply hit. Good pick there by the second baseman, DJ LeMahieu.
We say that almost on a nightly basis with this whole infield. We saw a nice pick at first by Mark Reynolds. The jump spin throw by Trevor earlier in the game. And now DJ with the nifty backhand throw from the knees.
That'll bring up the leadoff man again, Mookie Betts. He was robbed of a hit on a great play in the bottom of the 1st by Trevor Story. Had a sac fly to center and another fly ball to center. So officially 0 for 2. Betts has a 2.3 wins above replacement already this year. That 2.3 on a team with Pedroia, Bogarts, and Big Papi, and the year Hanley Ramirez is having, and Jackie Bradley Jr. That is #1 on the Red Sox.
And he's hit leadoff for John Farrell all year long. And so it's not like he started down at the bottom and then worked his way because he was doing so well. For Betts, he's just been the guy that John Farrell could say at the top of the lineup every single time.
He's also a tremendous right fielder.
Very strong arm.
Here's a look at John Farrell's staff. Chili Davis, he was hugging it up with a lot of guys that he hadn't seen on the Rockies side in a while. What a career Chili Davis had. A switch hitter, 350 home runs. This is in foul ground. Mark Reynolds will have the play. Carl Willis on the pitching side. Ruben Amaro is at first base. Brian Butterfield at third.
Here's Chili. Carl Willis, pitching coach.
Two outs, nobody on. Pedroia, 2 for 2 and a walk. Former Arizona State star. Asked Dustin before the ball game. Said, "You still living?" There's a shot. What a play! That was caught in the air by Mark Reynolds. Remember, he lived right across the street. Literally lived across the street so he'd get to the park earlier. He said, "No, I moved like 10 minutes away." Good inning for Butler. Good defense there by Reynolds. 7-2 Red Sox. 2013 for the Rockies. Right now it's not going well. The Red Sox leading 7-2 as the Rockies come up in the top of the sixth. Fans, if the Rockies score 7 or more in any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Trevor Story, a couple of strikeouts, one looking against David Price, hitting .298 in the month of May. He was the Rookie of the Month in the National League in April with the big power numbers. He had .261 in April, so he's hit for a higher average, fewer home runs in May, but it's kind of hard to hit 10 home runs every month. Ball and a strike. Remember the 2007 season? We all do. World Series season for the Rockies, in which they were swept by the Red Sox, but they came here during the regular season and they took 2 of 3 against the Red Sox. It was like 14-2, 7-1, and then they lost a 1-run game. I think it was 2-1, and that was kind of where you felt like the Rockies may have a chance. I'm not saying anybody predicted they'd be in the World Series, but you said they stood tall at Fenway against a team you knew was really good.
And if I remember correctly, Josh Beckett was undefeated at the time, and they gave him his first loss that year.
One and two on Story. There's that cutter he got him on looking in the first inning. 2-2. And at the knees, he got him again. Fan asked a question earlier of Larry Walker, his favorite teammates. And he says hard to name one. Pedro, Todd, Albert, to name a few. Pedro Martinez, Todd Helton, Albert Pujols. Pedro Martinez will forever be popular here in Boston. Part of the '04 World Series championship team, ending the long drought from 1918. Nolan grounds out, 2 gone.
Well, next Fan Friday is May 27th, and the first 10,000 fans will receive a Fan Friday Rockies baseball cap.
Mark Reynolds will come up. That's a little bit low in the 4th inning. A special moment in the career of Mark Reynolds. Line single to center field. Career hit number 1,000. Sharply hit, but right at Bogarts. And a 1-2-3 6th inning for David Price. Boston up 7-2.
as we head to the bottom of the sixth. Eddie Butler came in long relief today for Jorge De La Rosa. This is his first time pitching at Fenway Park, but he had a very fun experience here before.
I was in the 2011 Cape League All-Star game. I wasn't in it, I was attending. So, you know, I didn't have a good showing the first half of the Cape League, and so I just came out here with my family and got to watch the All-Star game here. It was fun, you know. Got to watch Home Run Derby first, and then sitting there with my family, I'm like, yeah, well, we got to watch out the press box behind us. You know, foul ball may ricochet off that and come towards us, and literally the first pitch of the game gets fouled off the press box, and I caught it. So my mom's got that back at home.
So a fun experience for Eddie Butler. He wasn't certain that he would actually get the opportunity to pitch here at Fenway, and really it's because Chris Russin had to fill in yesterday and pitch so long that they put Eddie Butler in the pen today. He's going to be limited at about 45 to 50 pitches, still set to make his start on Friday when the team returns home, but really neat he gets the opportunity today to be on the mound at Fenway Park.
Yeah, almost like a bullpen session between starts for Eddie, but it's coming in front of, you know, close to 40,000 folks. 1-2 on Bogaerts. He spiked that breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
And a little more adrenaline than just a bullpen session. So far, a mere 21 pitches for Eddie.
Bogaerts has the average at 353. Last year, he was second in the American League to Miguel Cabrera in hitting at 320. That is a 22-year-old. Bogaerts drawing immediate comparisons when he came up naturally to Nomar.
He speaks 4 languages.
He's out 6-3 in the language of baseball scoring. David Ortiz, first time he's come up with nobody on base. Larry Walker, what do you think of the Rockies' young shortstop? I think he has a great career ahead of him. He'll have slumps, and if he can handle them, all will be good. Game can humble you fast. And we say it all the time on a nightly basis. Look at Cargo. Cargo going through a rough stretch right now. No matter how great you are, and look at the career that Walk had.
Right.
Slumps are not immune to, no matter how talented you are, no matter what the back of the baseball card says.
It doesn't discriminate to anybody.
No, it doesn't.
Everybody has them. It's just how quickly can you get out of them, and how do you handle them?
Poppy fouls it off. It's 2-1. 4 ribbies tonight. He's got 41, which leads baseball. And he's moved his average to 335. Kidding me? Got more RBIs now in the first 7 weeks of the season than his age.
What a catch. Oh, how about that? She has a David Ortiz. I guess that's maybe a sweater.
That's way inside. Do you think, did she buy that, or you think that that's her own handiwork?
I'm not sure, but doesn't matter because she caught that foul ball off the bat of David Ortiz. How cool is that? Big Poppy still had to move the feet.
3-2. You said it earlier, that's 95, and usually at 40 it's going to be a little more difficult unless you really cheat to catch up. He's not cheating, because you're not going to hit 335 if you're cheating consistently to catch up.
And he still uses a leg kick.
High fly ball to Parra. Two outs. Butler has retired 7 in a row. He gave up an RBI single to the first guy he faced, Chris Young. This is very much like his last relief appearance, his only other relief appearance. He gave up a hit to the first guy he faced. And then he threw up a bunch of zeros.
30 pitches, 24 strikes for Eddie. This is what he needs to do.
This will be the first at bat for Travis Shaw. He came into the ball game for Hanley Ramirez.
And don't miss the action when the New York Yankees make a rare appearance at Coors Field on June 14th and 15th. Get your tickets today. What do we? Oh, there's a towel that has been dropped.
Psych. So as you mentioned earlier, Jeff Shaw's kid, Jeff Shaw, quite a relief pitcher. Travis Shaw said, "Dad, I'm not pitching, I'm hitting."
Jeff Shaw, 12th season in the major league, two-time All-Star, led the National League in saves in '97 with 42.
Bouncing ball to LeMahieu, and a 1-2-3 inning once again for Eddie Butler. We move to the 7th, 7-2 Boston. Here's our Cooney Lexus look back. Jackie Bradley Jr. on the first pitch he saw of the night lined it off the monster in left to extend his hitting streak to 28 games. He also has another hit in the ball game. Charlie Blackmon hits a home run to right, his third of the year. And David Ortiz had a big ball game again. He's got a single and a double, 4 RBIs this evening, as the Red Sox did a lot of damage against Jorge De La Rosa, who lasted just 3 1/3. With Jeff Hewson and Jenny Cavnar, I'm Drew Goodman. Cargo steps in against David Price, and he takes ball 1. Cargo, fly ball to center, and reached on a fielder's choice, a comebacker. Boston not shifting quite much defensively. They're playing it straight up in the infield and straight up in the outfield. Cargo whips the bat through, fouls off the 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 2-1.
The adjustments that David Price made in his mechanics have paid off. 2 starts coming into tonight, had only given up 3 earned runs, and tonight just a couple more, but only 4 hits allowed. There's still plenty of late life on that fastball.
Two and two. Fastball's wasted. We talk about David Price having a really high ERA, especially at home, 6.75. It's actually the third worst home ERA in the American League. Right now, David Price is hunting his 7th victory against just 1 defeat.
Just looking at his ERA for Price, he's dropped it to 5.28. So about a quarter of a run from what it was coming into the game.
Two and two on Cargo. And that ball's loud and into the gap in right center field. It's going to run all the way to the 420 mark. And Cargo around second, headed to third. So a leadoff triple for Cargo.
Second triple of the season for Carlos.
That was a Cargo type of swing and a Cargo type of hit.
Yeah, it was just nice to see kind of all the hard work that he's put in come to fruition on this swing. Because he stays back enough. That was a slider away from Carlos and he covered it. We've seen it too much in the last week to 10 days where he'd be out in front and just wave at that, but Carlos got behind that baseball. And you know, it's good for him to see, good for the Rockies and Walt and everybody that's helping him, putting that time and effort in.
Rayburn takes the strike. Two strikes on Rayburn. Jenny asked about being a DH to Larry Walker, and Larry said DH was great, but at Fenway there's barely room anywhere to stay loose, and that's something Huey was talking about earlier. You can't go take swings because that's out in center field, the hitting cage.
We also come here in September, there's not enough room in the dugout for everybody.
Yeah, when the rosters get expanded.
They're sitting. I mean, look how crowded it is tonight. This is just normal. September, you add an extra 6 or 8 players.
All right, you get to be in the dugout the first 5 innings. Then you got to scram. Next group coming in the 6th. This ball to third. Cargo with the right read. Stayed put. Rayburn thrown out by Rutledge. 1 out, and that'll bring up Parra. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Make sure you use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. The other triple in the game for the Rockies, provided by this man, Gerardo Parra, against Price. He drove in Ryan Rayburn, who had walked with 2 outs. And of course, the other run we showed you a few moments ago, the home run by Charlie Blackmon. 7-2 Boston as the Rockies hit in the 7th inning. All time, the Rockies are 8-8 in the regular season against the Red Sox. And that's going to get a run home. Parra trying to bunt for a hit. He'll get an RBI out of it. It's 7-3. So a 2 RBI night for Gerardo.
22 on the season.
Dustin Garneau, fly ball to center and a fly ball to right for Garneau. One would assume this will be the final inning of work for Price, as he's at 105 pitches.
Tazawa, right-hander in the Red Sox bullpen.
One of the setup guys for John Farrell. Boston's pen's been terrific. Of course, they got a new closer, former Brave, and for a year a Padre, Craig Kimbrell. Price pitching with Detroit and Toronto last year. And he gets the strikeout of Garneau to end the inning. Rockies get a run, the triple by Cargo, brought home by Parra. 7-3 Boston. Stretch time at Fenway. Rockies, as they trail 7-3, will be Justin Miller. Good work again for Eddie Butler. Eddie goes 2 2/3, gave up 1 hit.
He only threw 33 pitches for that for Eddie Butler. Now it's going to be up to Justin Miller to maybe eat up a couple innings.
Chris Young had a base hit against Butler. That was the first batter Eddie faced in the 4th. It drove in a run. That run was charged to De La Rosa. De La Rosa 7 runs, 9 hits, and 3 1/3. 3 walks, a strikeout, and a hit batter. Tough outing again for De La Rosa. Young, Bradley Jr. and Rutledge against Justin Miller. First pitch misses. Chris is one of those guys, and there's a lot of them actually, Huey, that has the distinction of playing for both the Mets and the Yankees.
Well, talk about a guy that's closing in on 1,000 career hits. He's just 9 away. 991 with the single that he had in the 4th inning.
Two 2-0 on Young. Good fastball. Well located by Miller. 2-1. Got a defensive swing there, 2-2. Boston and Baltimore began the day in a virtual tie in the American League East. Both teams 10 games above 500. Boston's played a couple more games, and the Yankees 5.5 back. They've played better baseball of late. Rockies began the day 5 back in 3rd place in the West. The Giants are 28-19 and the Dodgers at 500. There's a look at the AL East.
Yeah, Baltimore at Houston tonight. Toronto at the Yankees.
Another 2-2 on Chris Young. 3-2. How excited Arizona was when Chris Young came up, and rightfully so. A guy could run, a guy with a lot of pop. Big arm.
Five-tool player.
Yep.
Fans, don't forget Coors Field. It's available year-round for special events, and most areas of the ballpark can be reserved. Call 303 Rockies for more information and book your next event at Coors Field.
And Miller loses Young. Leadoff walk. And that'll bring up Jackie Bradley Jr., former #1 pick. Here's some interesting facts about the 28-game hitting streak of Jackie Bradley Jr. He's hit .416 during the hitting streak. He's hit 8 home runs. He's driven in 29. And he was in a bit of a funk when the hitting streak started, and now he's among the league leaders in hitting. Now tied for the 4th longest streak in Red Sox history. Again, Dom DiMaggio, the longest, back in 1949, hitting 34 straight.
And who can forget Nomar in '97 with the 30 straight. Johnny Damon, 29. Bogsy's going to be here. Was it tomorrow night or Thursday night? Thursday night, they're retiring his number. 1985 at 28.
There's going to be a whole lot of guys from the '86 Red Sox World Series team here tomorrow.
I saw Eck earlier, Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah. Eck works on the television side for the Red Sox. One of the more intriguing World Series over the last half-century, the '86 World Series. Probably less intriguing if you're a Red Sox fan than if you're a Mets fan.
Or a Bill Buckner fan.
Called strike, 2-1. Left field, Para. I have another question for Larry Walker as Josh Rutledge will make his way to the plate. Do you miss it, Larry? Kind of did at first, but realized quickly I couldn't do it at a level that satisfied me or any team for that matter. There's the dry wet. Larry keeps his hand in the game. He's been a special instructor in uniform for the Cardinals during spring training. He's come down and been at Rockies spring training. Spent a week, I think it was a year ago, during spring training with Walt.
I always helped coach the Canadian team and the
Team Canada
and the World Baseball Classic.
Rutledge 0 for 2 and a walk tonight against his former club. Rutledge drove in 89 runs in a Rockies uniform out of the University of Alabama in his home state.
Third-round pick in 2010.
See his wife during the fall, periodically covering college football. She's doing a great job in her career. Boston has hit a home run in a club record 22 straight games. The major league record's 27 in a row by the 2002 Rangers. And the Rockies have kept it in the ballpark tonight, and that's really not a surprise. The Rockies have given up the fewest amount of home runs over an extended period of time now, just a dozen since the latter part of April. It's about a month worth of baseball.
Well, that was the game they gave up 5, including 3
to McCutchen on the 26th of April. So it's about a month. And there it is. Colorado's allowed just 12 since the next day, so April 27. 6 fewer than the Cubs and Marlins. Swung on and missed. Rutledge strikes out number 2. That'll bring up the catcher, Christian Vasquez. Vasquez hit a booming triple over the head of Charlie Blackmon in the second to drive in a run. 1 for 3.
He started 23 of the last 37 games for the Red Sox.
Vasquez, a native of Puerto Rico.
Finish him off with this slider.
Good location, especially 0-2.
Close enough on the Subaru strike zone to make it appear as it's going to be a strike. It's a pretty good piece of hitting laying off that pitch.
Young takes off, and it's right back at Miller. That ends the inning. Chris Young left aboard. We'll go to the 8th. 7-3 Boston. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. And by Volkswagen. First appearance in Beantown for the Rockies since 2013. And they fell behind early as we go to the 8th inning. The Rockies with 6 outs to work with offensively, down 7-3. David Price is out of there after 7 strong. And he'll give way to the former closer for Boston, who's now primarily working in the 8th inning, Koji Uehara.
Just a couple appearances shy of 200 in his career in a Red Sox uniform. For his career in 196 innings, he has 246 strikeouts, so kind of carrying that on this year, averaging more than a strikeout per inning pitched.
His first fastball is in there for a strike.
That's about the tops on his fastball. 87, maybe touch 88 miles an hour, but his go-to pitch is his split finger. That's 79 miles an hour.
And that is hit through the left side, a base hit, second of the night for LeMahieu. And for the Rockies, their 6th hit. Time for our Mako big hit. Came back in the 3rd inning. Charlie Blackmon with the first home run, a left-handed bat, his hit off of David Price last September. Charlie 1 for 3. He's pulled a couple of balls to first base as well this evening.
Wasn't a bad idea from Charlie. Square around, possibly lay down a bunt. Need a couple base runners.
The other thing it's done is it's sucked in Josh Rutledge a couple of steps, because initially he was behind the bag, so it opens up a little more room on that left side. That's a strike. Uehara is a guy that you got to see multiple times to get a feel for, and thusly he has a 1.46 ERA against the National League.
Because the hardest thing about facing a reliever is when you don't have multiple looks at him. You don't know. I mean, yeah, you know that his split finger throws about 53% of the time, and it's going to be 79 miles an hour. You get all that off the scouting report, but you don't have your eyes adjusted to that when you step in the box. And so it's not surprising that his numbers are against a league that doesn't see him very often.
That's a splitter count, 1-2. Runners on. Charlie hitting .308. What he got him on. 1 out, and that'll bring up Story.
It's kind of like that changeup that Trevor Hoffman used to throw. You know it was coming, you just still couldn't hit it. That had some serious downward action going away from Charlie. It's not the tumbling split finger where it just drops off the table. That one had action going away. Time for the Colorado Lottery pitch probability, and this is Trevor Story against all right-handed pitchers.
Story 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts, 2 of them looking. At the knees.
The old fake shake to a fastball.
Ihara came to the United States after a long and distinguished career in Japan, where he was primarily a starter.
.112 wins in Japan.
One and two. DJ at first, a leadoff single. There's one out. Nolan's on deck.
Here comes the split finger.
And Rutledge gone on strikes for the fourth time tonight. That's the first time in his career that he has struck out 4 times in a game.
Just really spreads his fingers in the seams of the baseball and then just throws it, and then as it's coming out of his hand, he kind of turns his hand over.
Nolan has a couple of strikeouts today. That's unusual. That's happened only twice this year. 2-0 on Arenado.
Both outside the Subaru strike zone.
Two and one. Bedtime. Thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of tonight. See you on June 13th for Rockies golf tournament. That's right. Good deal. Probably got a tee time tomorrow morning.
Yes, he does. Thank you, Larry.
Yep, you bet.
Appreciate it, Walk.
That was fun for the fans.
I'm sure it was. Fun for us.
Yeah, get to interact. Well, if you're just jumping on board, the Rockies fell behind early. Unfortunately, there was another tough outing for Jorge De La Rosa. He'd been gone for a month. 7 runs and 3 1/3 on 9 hits. He also walked 3. And Nolan strikes out. Ihara, after giving up the base hit to LeMahieu, strikes out the side. Here now, our Kubota pitching performance, and David Price, the better of the matchup with Jorge De La Rosa. Price on the plus side, 5 hits over 7 innings, 3 runs. He struck out 6, walked just 1, in line for his 7th victory of the year. And in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Rockies will turn now to Chad Qualls. Butler went 2 2/3 in relief at De La Rosa. Miller, pretty clean 7th inning. Qualls on in the 8th. Top of the order, Mookie Betts, Dustin Pedroia, Xander Bogaerts for Boston. Betts 0 for 3 and a sac fly. He takes ball 1.
For Chad, this is career appearance number 798. That's second most among active relief pitchers.
And the sinker's inside. 2-0 on Mookie Betts. The 2011 draft for Boston was a productive one. They have 4 guys that are big contributors to the Red Sox out of that draft. If you look at Pedroia on deck, Betts was a 5th-round pick. Jackie Bradley Jr. was the 1st-round pick in 2011.
I always say it quite often that sometimes you need one of those drafts that you hit on various guys, and there's 2 or 3 that come through for you. It's such an inexact science.
Great stop by Story, but I'm going to have a play on Betts, and he's got his first hit of the night. Let's go downstairs, check in again with Jenny.
Yeah, Drew, we want to give our sincere congratulations to former Rocky Clint Barmes. He announced late last night that he would be retiring. He was released by the Royals yesterday and decided to call it a career. And what a career it was, 13 years. He played with 4 different teams and tried to give it one more go with Kansas City this year, AAA Omaha, but decided that that was going to be it. We, of course, all really enjoy Clint Barmes, not only as a baseball player, but as a person. He and his wife, Summer, and their 2 kids make their home in Colorado. Great family. Wonderful person, as I mentioned, and I'd be remiss to say he was a very good landlord to me for 2 years as well. So congratulations to Clint Barmes, and you know, I'm sure we'll be seeing him around the ballpark a little bit eventually.
Absolutely, and you're right on the money. And Clint had a really good career. This is lobbed out into right. Cargo's going to have to field it on a hop. Betts goes first to third. It kicks away from Nolan, and that's going to allow Pedroia to move up. And now Betts scores as well. 8-3.
Just a lob to right field. Betts motoring to third. This is unfortunate for Cargo. I know it's offline, and we've seen Nolan come up with that, but it'll go down as an error, and Cargo's first error of the season on that throw.
Pedroia 3 hits and a walk tonight. The only time the Rockies have gotten him out, it took a sensational diving stab of a low line drive by Mark Reynolds. He reminds me of Biggio. Got the pine tar all over the front of the helmet. Play the same position. He's just he's just a gritty gamer. Former MVP in the American League. Bogaerts swings and misses. Double, single walk, and a ground ball to short for Xander Bogaerts. What a double play combination, because both of those guys can really defend also.
Pedroia just 2 errors on the season. You mentioned Bogart.
Diving stop, quick to his feet, throw to first, plenty of time. He's talking to Steve Lyons, who works on the television side for Boston. And Josh Rutledge came over, to say hello, and we were chatting, and we were talking about Nolan. And he said to Lyons, he said, guaranteed at least one time a night, he'll make a highlight reel play. And I mean, we watch it every night, and he does.
And that's the highlight reel. Xander Bogaerts thought he had a base hit. The Subaru Supermo.
Look how quick he pops up, Huey.
Well, and the other thing, when you slide and dive like that, see how much mud is on his right hand, his throwing hand, when he comes up? Yet he still makes a perfect strike coming over the top. The rotation of the baseball, how clear is that?
First base open. The boos because the Rockies will walk. Big Poppy. Set up a force all the way around. To finish, at least for tonight, not forever, but our thought on Clint Barmas, great career. Never forget 05 opening day, the home run off of Trevor Hoffman to win the ball game in the Rockies home opener. But more than anything, as Jenny said, what a terrific, humble guy, just a sweetheart to be around, and Summer as well. So congrats to Clint and to Summer.
Always had a word for you if you went up to talk to him. It was never, hey, you're bothering me. It was always very gracious, very well thought out answers.
Yep.
He got over his 10 years of service time. The magic number for any player. So he got 10 years and 122 days. So
I want to say Clint was what, an 8th, 9th, 10th round pick.
Just 1 second out of Indiana State, 10th round in the 2000 drafts.
You get a 10th rounder to the big leagues.
Well,
that's a good story for the scouting department.
Yeah.
Billy Schmidt in this case, but also
as they're out,
you hang around for 10 plus. Not just you do better than hang around for 10 plus years. Had a lot of productive seasons. Great glove. Shaw at the plate, 1-1 count.
Live Rockies baseball is back in 2016 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with stats, news, and more. And all those scouts now, they're just cranking out the mileage on the car and the flights, trying to see as many players as they can before the June draft comes up in about 3 weeks.
One, two, slider. 2-2 on Travis Shaw. Shaw beat out Kung Fu Panda during spring training for the third base job. And then, unfortunately, Panda blew out his shoulder, had surgery, lost for the season.
That was a tough call for John Farrell, the manager, with the contract of Kung Fu Panda. But this kid came in and just outplayed him. And for Panda, he only had 6 at-bats this year.
Swung on a miss, a strikeout of Shaw. So Pablo Sandoval out for the season. And Shaw has stepped into the void and done a really good job. 2 gone, Chris Young coming up. RBI single in the 4th for Young, 1 for 3. Walked his last time up. And it'll be gloved there by LeMahieu. So we'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies down 8-3 in Beantown. We'll lead things off for the Rockies. It's time for our CenturyLink link to what's next. The matchup in the middle game of this 3-game series. Chad Bettis for the Rockies. He pitched 1 inning in the game that was rained out on Sunday, so he'll go tomorrow. And Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, will go for Boston. Boston more often than not has a knuckleballer in the rotation. Tim Wakefield forever.
Tim Wakefield was at the ballpark earlier today. Maybe he's giving him tips on how to throw the knuckleballer. Yeah, Matt Barnes, a new pitcher for Boston, 21 1/3 innings. That leads Boston relievers. Usually used in multi-inning role tonight. John Farrell's hoping he closes it out here in the 9th.
Got a big arm. That first fastball cruised across at 98 miles an hour. Reynolds had his 1,000th career hit in the 4th inning, a single to center. Catch it if you can, huh? 99.
Yikes.
I think there's going to be a lot of mystery here, huh?
I don't think so. You throw 99 miles an hour.
That's 4 straight strikeouts for Boston. And 5 of the last 6. Who wants tacos? Fans, follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies produce 7 or more in a ball game. Cargo tripled to center field his last time up, 1 for 3 tonight. Two outs. 2 outs, and it'll bring up Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn a walk and a run scored in the 2nd. 4-6-3 double play and a ground ball to 3rd as well. Strike on Rayburn.
Yeah, he sits at 98, 99.
Must be nice.
That's what Estevez does too, and Miguel Castro, they're sitting at 97, 98.
Just to get some work with it, I guess. It throws a curveball.
Just so you can have a percentage when you throw up the pitch usage for a pitcher.
His changeup average is 88. About 10, 12 years ago, that was the average major league fastball.
Right.
It's up to 92. With all these hard throwers that have entered the game. 1-2, the crowd at Fenway standing. And it's 8-3 Boston. Swung on and missed at a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and Boston wins game 1 of this 3-game series. The final score 8-3. David Price gets the victory. He's now 7-1. Jorge De La Rosa in his return takes the loss. He's 1-4. Only bad news for the Red Sox this day is their streak of hitting home runs ends at 22 in a row, which was the longest in 3 seasons in Major League Baseball. Falls 5 short of the Major League record. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Big Papi. Well, you've been hearing a lot about the exploits of Big Papi this year. in his 40th year, and he didn't disappoint tonight. 4 RBI night, 2 for 4. He's on base 3 times. Well, he's amazing. He can still swing it. 4 RBIs, now leading baseball with 41 ribbies. Again, the final score. Boston has defeated the Rockies 8-3 at Fenway. Let's go back to our Root Sports studios in Denver. Here's Mark and Spilly.